The film opens on a city vibrating with scandal. A prominent businessman, pinned by headlines and investigation, races to escape the law. His wealth is evaporating, his reputation shredded, and he decides to flee the country before officers can arrest him. Before he can board a plane, three masked intruders slip into his mansion. Clinical and silent, they move like professionals. One draws a syringe and injects the businessman with a powerful drug. The man falls, breath slowing, dead within moments. The intruders vanish into the night as if they were never there. Authorities arrive the next morning and find an apparent overdose. The death is logged and the investigation stalls. No one suspects an orchestrated hit. What the public doesn't know, the killers are inmates, members of an organized crime ring who perform hits outside the prison walls and then return behind bars to keep their tracks cold. At the same time, a battered transport bus pulls up at the gates of an old high-security prison. A new prisoner steps down, Sun. He carries himself like a man who has already traded a life for pain. Tension sparks immediately. A scuffle with other inmates erupts in the yard. Fists fly and guards step in to restore order. That night, Sun's introduction to prison reality turns brutal. In his cell, a gang led by a man called Chang beats him relentlessly. Chang's hatred is personal. Years ago, Sun, then a cop, put Chang behind bars. Now, revenge is Chang's reason for living. Despite the savage taunts and the blood, Sun refuses to be broken. He baits Chang, and when the leader lunges, Sun bites his neck and grabs a broken flashlight, daring anyone to stop him. The challenge results in a summons to the warden. Arguing he was once a government official and deserves fair treatment, the warden listens without sympathy and refuses to transfer him. As Sun leaves, inmates circle him. The warden coldly orders they restrain him. For a terrifying moment, the threat of amputation hangs over Sun's hands, punishment by fear, until the warden relents and sends him to solitary. In the dim cell, Sun learns the prison's real ruler is not a uniformed director, but the warden himself, a man feared like royalty. Rumors say the warden once slaughtered a rival and gouged out his eyes in front of everyone. They call him the king. His influence spreads through bribery and terror. Even the director bows when the king decides. When Sun is returned to the general population, Chang confronts him again, and the warden proposes a crude resolution. They fight. The winner earns a wish. The yard becomes an arena. Sun and Chang clash in a vicious duel. Chang lands early blows, but Sun's controlled fury turns the tide. A ferocious kick drops Chang. Sun wins. Boldly, Sun petitions the warden, feed every inmate a decent meal, and move him to the block where the warden's trusted men sleep. The warden, impressed by his audacity, grants both demands. Sun's new quarters are more like a suite than a cell, clean, quiet, and carefully privileged. Before doors met, Kim, an outside lieutenant who managed the prison's criminal contracts, he receives the payment for the businessman's murder and briefs his men on a new assignment, a high-stakes safe heist. The warden's crew, an assassin, an ex-military enforcer, a master safecracker, and a butcher-turned-hitman prepare. They recruit an explosive expert from another facility for the job. One night, the men slip out, blast through a wall, crack the safe, and disappear with the loot. They sneak back into prison before dawn, playing dead to the world. But one of the crew panics and flees. A single escape triggers alarm, and the warden fears exposure. The shadow of the director of correctional services looms. A surprise inspection can unravel everything. The director arrives days later and walks the grounds, noticing small comforts and the warden's men. He treats the warden with disdain, testing his authority. Pride flames into violence when the director shames him publicly. The warden resists, a dangerous act of defiance that sets the stage for deeper conflict. Part 1 ends as the warden's network hums in secret. Sun settles into his uneasy new status, and the prison prepares for the storm that will come when power, greed, and revenge collide.
Sun's tentative comfort offers him a vantage few inmates earn: access. Under the warden's wing, he observes the inner circle, men who conduct robberies, traffic drugs, and collect payoffs under the illusion of imprisonment. They are the prison's hidden workforce, and Sun begins to map their reach. One night, the warden's men hunt down the inmate who ran. They corner him outside the city. When he resists, the warden's circle forces him to hang himself to save face. Sun watches, shaken, unable to forget the rope's final swing. Guilt and determination mingle inside him. He accepted the warden's money to gain trust, but now he sees the true price: lives. Soon, the warden introduces Sun to Kim and to more of his trusted crew. Sun realizes they carried out the businessman's hit and more. The prison forms the backbone of a wider criminal empire. Sun also glimpses a pattern. The warden moves people to protect secrets and punish anyone who looks too close. Sun's memories are personal and raw. His brother, a journalist, had been investigating a trafficking ring linked to corrupt officials. He begged Sun to help, but Sun refused, fearful for their lives. The brother paid with his life. That death pulled Sun into the prison with a mission: find evidence, expose the conspirators, and punish those responsible. Sun starts a dangerous game. He plays the obedient soldier while searching the warden's office for proof. He sneaks into private rooms, steals a few bills, and tests the guard's loyalty. Tension thickens when Chang senses an opportunity. Chang wants to unseat the warden and claims many inmates hate the king's tyranny. He tries to recruit Li, one of the warden's men, stirring dissent. When Chang launches an attack, the warden answers with brutal countermeasures, boiling oil and threats of mutilation to terrify challengers. The warden's mythology of violence keeps most in line, but the cracks appear. Sun witnesses both mercy and horror, and the truth gnaws at him. The warden ordered the hit that silenced his brother. Evidence hidden in a secret compartment confirms it. Sun plots to bring down the warden. He convinces a few allies, including Hung, an old colleague on the outside who still wants justice. They coordinate with the police for a sting. But the warden is cunning. He anticipates betrayal and arranges traps. A staged factory job turns into a near success for the police, but the warden slips away with a kidnapped official. When the warden and his gang corner the director of correctional services, they reveal their ambition: replace him and control every prison. They place the director atop a shredder, a grotesque symbol of power. The director pleads. The warden completes his threat without mercy. The murder sends shockwaves through the justice system. Sun watches the execution in horror. The man who manipulates every corner of punishment now demonstrates how expendable lives are to him. The police attempt to intervene, but the warden switches locations and escapes arrest. Sun's plan begins to unravel into chaos. The warden frames the situation, blaming others and tightening his grip. Inside the walls, paranoia spikes. One of the warden's men hears the voice of a kidnapped officer pleading for mercy, while Sun is forced to listen. Bound by the warden's rule, Sun barely escapes a forced suicide setup. A guard, moved by years of lost humanity, helps him free himself as the warden's men stage his demise. Sun strikes back in small ways: sabotage and arson. He sets the warden's garden ablaze and blows up the car garage. The prison erupts in flames, alarms crying into the night. In the confusion, Sun ascends a guard tower and fires at the warden, a desperate act that declares war. When police finally storm the prison, a titanic fight breaks out between Sun and the warden. They battle not just with fists, but with exposed histories and survival. Sun lands brutal blows, but the warden's resourcefulness keeps him alive. As the fight reaches its zenith, the warden stabs Sun with glass, and in the scuffle, a rifle falls into the wrong hands. Officers open fire, killing the warden. The king's death fractures his kingdom. In the fallout, the police arrest many of the warden's external operatives. Sun watches as investigations begin to reopen the cases that were swept away. His primary victory, the man who ordered his brother's death, can no longer wield power. But the cost is steep. Sun's choices left a wake of broken men and dead accomplices. He endures legal consequences for his actions inside the prison, and his sentence is extended. Justice arrives crooked and incomplete, but it arrives.